Other news this evening, police have identified the woman found brutally murdered on the Cross County Parkway. The nightlife influencer was found dead behind the wheel. She'd been shot multiple times on her way home from work. Now police are searching for whoever pulled the trigger, and they're trying to figure out why.
A black Mercedes SUV, bullet holes, Cross County Parkway, Sunday morning traffic slowing down because somebody just executed a mother of two on her way home from work. But here's what all them other crime channels missed when they first covered this story. This wasn't random. This was payback.
I feel like a snitch would do anything to get out of a situation.
These are my people. Like, how many people I beefed with in 2018? I beefed with the whole West Coast. I beefed with the Houston. I beefed with Chicago. Did I ever get kidnapped?
And it took 7 years to come collect. Listen, y'all know I don't play when it comes to these cases. And this one right here, this one got me heated because just like that case I told y'all about, you remember the woman found dead in her garage on her birthday, later found out her baby daddy was a famous rapper? Well, this story got that same twisted energy. August 17th, Sunday morning, traffic backs up on the Cross County Parkway because a black Mercedes SUV is sitting on the shoulder, hazard lights still flashing. But when police roll up to what they think is a breakdown, they find Ariela Polanco, 33 years old, slumped over that steering wheel, shot multiple times. This wasn't no accident. This wasn't no carjacking gone wrong. This was straight up execution style. Now, 500,000 people followed this woman on Instagram. They watched her dance. They watched her live her best life. They watched her show off that same Mercedes that became her final resting place. But what them followers didn't know, what nobody talked about when this first went down, was that Ariela had enemies. Enemies with long memories and even longer reach. See, back in 2018, this woman did something that most people wouldn't have the guts to do. She testified against some of the most dangerous gang members in New York City, put them behind bars, and baby, the streets don't forget. The streets don't forgive. And 7 years later, the streets came to collect. Now let me tell you about Ariela before all this madness. This woman came from the Dominican Republic with dreams bigger than Manhattan itself. And listen, I respect the hustle because she didn't come from money. She didn't have connections handed to her on a silver platter. She had to grind for everything she got. She started working in New York's nightlife scene, first as a bartender at Icon New York up in Inwood, then as a hostess at Opus Lounge in Harlem. Now, y'all know how competitive that scene is, but Ariela, she had that energy that just drew people in. Her coworkers said she was like a light. When she walked in the room, the whole atmosphere changed. And baby, she was smart about it too. In 2018, she launched her Instagram account and started documenting her life, her fashion, her dance moves behind the scenes at these exclusive parties. She wasn't just working the scene, she was becoming the scene. By 2025, she had over 550,000 followers on Instagram and 115,000 on TikTok watching her every move. But here's what I respect about Ariela. She wasn't just about the glamour. This woman was a mother first. She had 2 kids, a daughter and a son, and everything she did was for them. Her closest friends knew her as someone who was planning her daughter's quinceañera, talking about her kids' futures. One of her friends said she did everything for her kids. That part right there tells you what kind of woman we're really talking about. The club where she worked, Icon New York, they said it best in their tribute. Your joy, your humility, and the way you treated everyone with so much care always made you stand out. See, that's the thing about Ariela. She could be posting videos in designer outfits, showing off that luxury lifestyle, but she never lost who she was at her core. She had this apartment up in Upper Manhattan where she'd edit her content, plan her outfits, but most importantly, where she created a stable home for her family. Friends said even with all that fame growing, she stayed humble, stayed connected to the people who knew her before the followers, before the blue check marks, before any of that. But here's where things get complicated, and this is the part that connects to that other case I mentioned. See, when you're moving in certain circles, when you're connected to certain people, sometimes you inherit their enemies. And Ariela, she had gotten close to someone whose past was about to become her present danger. Among her circle of friends was a man y'all definitely know Daniel Hernandez, better known as Tekashi 69. Now, this connection wasn't something she was broadcasting to the world, but when she died, his grief told the whole story. He posted tributes calling her Mi Negra, his wife. He called her the Queen of New York. This wasn't just some casual industry friendship. These two had something deeper. But see, that connection came with a price. And that price, it connected Ariela to a world where testifying against gang members could cost you everything. Where doing the right thing, where standing up for justice could put a target on your back that would follow you for years. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, well, maybe she knew what she was getting into. But let me ask you this. When you're building a life, when you're trying to provide for your kids, when you're chasing success, how do you balance staying safe with living your truth? How do you know when the connections that help you grow are the same ones that might destroy you? Because what happened to Ariela in 2018, what she chose to do about it, and how it connected to her relationship with Tekashi 69, that's the real story. That's the motive that took 7 years to play out, and that's what we're diving into next. Y'all stay with me because this story is about to get real complicated real fast, and by the time I'm done, you're going to understand exactly why someone wanted Ariela Mahia Polanco dead and why they waited 7 years to make their move. Now, here's where this story gets real twisted, and I need y'all to pay attention because this is the part that explains everything. Back in 2018, the same year Ariela was launching her Instagram and building her brand, she got caught up in some serious mess. And I mean serious. See, there's this gang called the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods. Now, if you don't know about 9 Trey, just know they don't play. These are some of the most violent, most dangerous gang members in New York City. And somehow, some way, Ariela ended up on their radar. But here's the thing, it was all a case of mistaken identity. These gang members thought Ariela was one of Tekashi 69's girlfriends. Now, at this time, Tekashi had this complicated relationship with 9 Trey. He was affiliated with them using their street credibility for his image, but he was also walking a dangerous line.
All right, so first night you get to jail, what'd that feel like? When you're like, yo, shit, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be locked up.
First night I got locked up, I watched Lone Survivor, and I was like, I'm definitely snitching, right? and then, no, seriously, I'm
So from the jump, from the jump,
I'm
you
like,
laid down and you were stuffing your pillow. You're like, nah, it ain't gonna be long.
So what do these gang members do? They kidnapped Ariela. Let me say that again. They kidnapped this woman because they thought she was connected to Tekashi 69. Can you imagine? You're just living your life trying to build your dreams and you get snatched up because of who someone thinks you're dating. The kidnapping lasted for hours. Now, I can't even imagine what that woman went through during those hours. The fear, the confusion, probably wondering if she was ever going to see her kids again. But when they finally let her go, Ariela faced a choice that would haunt her for the rest of her life. She could stay quiet, keep her mouth shut, and hope it never happened again. Or she could do what most people in her position wouldn't have the courage to do. She could testify. She could stand up in federal court and put these dangerous men behind bars, and baby, she chose justice. In federal court during a racketeering case against 9 Trey members, Ariela told her story. She detailed what they did to her, how they terrorized her, how they put her through hell because of a mistaken identity. Her testimony, along with Tekashi 69's own cooperation with the feds, helped prosecutors lock up several gang members. Now, let me tell you something about street culture. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, worse than being labeled a snitch. And when you testify against gang members, when you help put them behind bars, you just painted a target on your back that never goes away. But here's what makes this even more complicated. While Ariela was rebuilding her life, while she was growing her following and celebrating her success, those gang members she testified against, they were sitting in prison cells nursing grudges. And in that culture, revenge isn't just personal, it's a requirement. For years, it looked like Ariela had escaped the consequences. Her Instagram was blowing up. She was living her best life, showing off her success. She had that Mercedes. She had the designer clothes. She was making money and providing for her kids. It probably felt like that nightmare from 2018 was finally behind her. But see, that's the thing about the streets. They got long memories and even longer reach. And sometimes when you least expect it, when you think you've moved on and built something beautiful, the past comes knocking. And it don't come knocking politely. Now, I want y'all to think about this for a minute. If you were in Ariela's position, would you have testified, knowing the culture, knowing the risk, knowing that these people don't forgive and they don't forget? Would you have stood up and done the right thing? Go ahead and think about that, because what she chose to do in 2018 is exactly what got her killed in 2025. All right, y'all, let's talk about that last night, August 16th, 2025, Saturday night for Ariela. This was supposed to be just another work night at Icon, New York. She showed up around 9 p.m., looking fly as always, had her outfit on point, had posted it on her socials earlier that day like she always did. Security footage shows her walking into that club like she owned the place, greeting people with hugs, laughing, just being her usual magnetic self. She was behind that bar mixing drinks, but she was also doing what she did best, creating content. She was filming little clips for her Instagram story, dancing with her coworker, showing off the crowd, promoting the weekend specials. At 11:43 p.m., she posted a video with the caption, "Saturday vibes, toasting with friends." Everything looked normal. Everything looked like just another successful night in the life of Ariela Langosta. But her final Instagram story went live at 1:17 a.m., a boomerang of her blowing a kiss to the camera with the Icon New York logo behind her. And the caption, "Love my people." Now that right there hits different when you know what's coming next, doesn't it? Her coworkers said nothing seemed off about her that night. She was talking about her daughter's upcoming quinceañera, making plans to start a YouTube channel. She was excited about the future, making moves to expand her brand. The manager said she helped close the bar and left around 3:30 a.m. Security cameras caught her walking to her car alone in the employee parking area. Just a normal night ending like any other night. She gets in that black Mercedes SUV that she loved to show off on Instagram, starts it up and heads home. But somewhere between leaving that club and sunrise, Ariela encountered the person who had been waiting 7 years to settle a score. At 7:52 a.m. on Sunday morning, a Westchester County police officer gets a call about a disabled vehicle on the Cross County Parkway. The black Mercedes SUV is sitting on the eastbound shoulder near the Broad Street exit, right where the highway crosses from Mount Vernon into Yonkers. The officer walks up thinking he's dealing with a breakdown or maybe someone who ran out of gas, but when he gets closer, he sees the shattered driver's side window. He sees the bullet holes piercing the exterior of that luxury SUV, and inside, behind the wheel, he finds Ariela unresponsive. Emergency medical personnel pronounced her dead at the scene. What looked like a medical emergency or car trouble was actually a crime scene. Multiple bullet holes, shell casings scattered around, the trajectory of bullets showing this was no random drive-by. The medical examiner confirmed multiple gunshot wounds as the cause of death. The location told the story. Ariela was driving home when she was attacked. The Cross County Parkway connects Manhattan to the residential areas up north, a route she probably traveled regularly after work. But here's what really tells you this was professional: the precision of the attack. Multiple shots concentrated on the driver's side. This wasn't some random road rage incident. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This was someone who knew exactly who they were looking for and exactly what they came to do. By Sunday afternoon, Westchester County Police released a statement that said everything you needed to know. Ariela was likely targeted for violence and her death was not a random act. They assured the public there was no ongoing threat to the community, which is police talk for this was a hit and whoever did it got exactly who they came for. That Mercedes SUV that Ariela had proudly displayed on social media, that symbol of her success and how far she'd come from the Dominican Republic, had become her tomb. The very car she used to showcase her achievements became the final chapter in her story. And just like that, 500,000 followers woke up expecting new content from Ariela La Langosta, but instead got breaking news alerts about her murder. The woman who had built her brand on sharing her life with the world had her life taken away on a quiet highway at dawn. The streets had finally collected their debt. 7 years late, but right on time. So here we are, and the police got a crime scene that's telling a very clear story, but they're keeping their cards close to their chest. As of right now, no arrests have been made. But listen, I know they're looking into that 2018 connection because how could they not? A woman testifies against gang members, and 7 years later, she's executed on a highway. Make it make sense if it's not connected. Now, the investigators aren't saying much publicly, but sources close to the case say they're pursuing specific leads related to her past testimony. And baby, that tells you everything you need to know about where their heads are at. They know this wasn't random. They know this was payback. But while the police are doing their detective work, the streets already know what this was about. The nightlife community knows. The people who knew Ariela's story know. This was a message loud and clear. You testify against us, we don't forget, and we will find you. What breaks my heart is that by Monday morning, Ariela's Instagram account had turned into a digital memorial. Her last post was flooded with thousands of comments, people expressing shock, grief, disbelief. These followers felt like they'd lost someone they actually knew personally, and in a way they had. She'd been sharing her life with them for years. Outside Opus Lounge in Harlem, hundreds of people gathered for an impromptu vigil. Candles, flowers, printed photos of Ariela everywhere. One of her friends, Cecilia Rodriguez, fighting through tears, told reporters she was light, pure light. This world makes no sense without her. Icon New York, where she worked, closed their doors for 4 days in tribute. Their Instagram announcement said, "Today we lost our shining star, Ariela Langasta. We love you and we will miss you forever." That's respect right there. The Dominican community in New York organized prayer services across the city. Up in Washington Heights, people wore white in Dominican tradition, symbolizing peace and remembrance. This woman had touched so many lives, had represented so much hope for people who came here with nothing and built something. And then Tekashi 69's public mourning brought international attention to her death. His Instagram tributes calling her the Queen of New York had music industry figures who never publicly acknowledged knowing Ariela suddenly sharing memories and condolences. Fellow influencers created tribute videos sharing clips of Ariela's most joyful moments. The hashtag Justice for Ariela started trending nationally as her story spread beyond her immediate following. But her children, and this is what gets me the most, her children remained shielded from all the media attention, being cared for by family members who just wanted privacy to grieve. For the nightlife community, her death represented something bigger than personal loss. It highlighted how dangerous visibility can be, how sharing your life online creates both opportunities and threats. One club owner told the New York Post, "We're all just one wrong connection away from disaster, and ain't that the truth? In today's world, your success story can become your target. Every location you tag, every glimpse of your routine, every proud display of what you've accomplished, it can all become a roadmap for someone who wants to hurt you." Listen, Ariela Mahia Polanco's story is about more than just one woman's tragic death. This is about the price of doing the right thing in a world that punishes justice. This is about how the American dream can become a nightmare when your past refuses to stay buried. See, Ariela represented something beautiful, a Dominican immigrant who came here with nothing and built herself into a social media star with over 500,000 people watching her live her best life. She was proof that you could grind your way out of whatever circumstances you started with. She was living evidence that hard work, personality, and authenticity could take you places. But her story also exposes the shadow side of that visibility. When you're connected to certain people, when you move in certain circles, when you make certain choices, even the right choices like testifying for justice, you inherit dangers that can follow you for years. Let me keep it real with y'all. What happened to Ariela could happen to any of us who are building our lives online, who are connected to people with complicated histories, who choose to speak truth even when it's dangerous. The platforms that connect us to our audiences also expose us to our enemies. Her decision to testify in 2018 showed the kind of courage most people don't have. She chose justice over silence, knowing the potential consequences in a culture where cooperation with authorities can cost you everything. For years, it looked like she'd escaped those consequences until that Sunday morning on the Cross County Parkway. The luxury SUV that she featured in her Instagram post became her final resting place. The very visibility that built her career made her an accessible target. Each location tag, each glimpse of her routine, each proud display of success created a roadmap for whoever wanted to harm her. And that's the part that should scare all of us who are content creators, who are building our brands online, who are sharing our lives with the world. The line between sharing and oversharing can sometimes be the difference between life and death. But here's what I want y'all to remember about Ariela. She wasn't just a victim. She was a survivor who became a target because she refused to let criminals terrorize her in silence. She was a mother who worked her tail off to provide for her kids. She was a woman who treated everyone with kindness and humility despite her growing fame. She leaves behind 2 children who will grow up knowing their mother was brave enough to stand up for justice even when it cost her everything. She leaves behind over 500,000 followers who got to witness what authenticity and hustle look like. She leaves behind a community that loved her for who she was, not just what she represented. Her legacy lives on through memorial posts, tribute videos, and the educational fund that's been established in her name. In death, as in life, she remains a woman whose light attracted both admiration and danger, whose story reminds us that behind every social media personality is a real person navigating real risks in an increasingly public world. What kind of world are we living in where doing the right thing, where cooperating with justice can cost you your life years later? What does it say about our society when a woman can't escape the consequences of refusing to be a victim? I want y'all to think about that. And I want you to think about what Ariela's story means for all of us who are building our lives in public, who are connected to people with complicated pasts, who might one day have to choose between staying silent and speaking truth. We extend our prayers and heartfelt condolences to the family of Ariela Mahia Polanco and everyone affected by this senseless violence. We hope they find peace and comfort in the memories they shared, and we hope they get the justice they deserve. If this story gave you a reason to pause, a reason to be more aware of what you share online and who you connect with, then don't let it be the last one you hear. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the next story might be the one you or someone you know needs to hear. Thank you for staying with me through this heartbreaking case. Stay safe out there, and remember, sometimes the price of justice is higher than anyone should have to pay, but that doesn't mean we stop fighting for it. Y'all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.